Hello. All right. Welcome to the Piper Seminole MFD PowerPoint presentation. Alrighty. So let's get right into it because we don't have that much time. So here's the game plan. We'll go over the system. So we'll do a system overview, talk about how it works, and what feeds the MFD with the information. Secondly, we'll go into interfacing with the MFD. How do we actually use it? And third and finally, we'll highlight a few of the functions that the MFD has. And keep in mind, the Garmin G1000 user manual is about 650 pages. So there is way more the MFD can do that is not included in this short presentation. So the way I kind of set it up with the highlight of a few functions is kind of like a little flight. So if we were to take a short flight, these might be some of the pages that we could use on that flight, and I'll show you just a little bit about them. Alright, so what is the MFD? The Garmin G1000 avionics suite, like the one found in our Piper Seminole, presents the flight instruments. You can see that on the left side of the screen. Presents the flight instruments through the PFD, and then general flight information through the MFD, the right side of the screen. Okay, so the MFD is where we're going to look if we want to find engine status information, the moving map display, flight planning information, system status for any of the LRUs or line replaceable units, where we go if we want to find airport information, weather data, and etc. There's a lot that the MFD can do. Think about it as a EFB or electronic flight bag on steroids. Okay. So how does the MFD actually work? So if we look, there are 8 LRUs, or 8 line replaceable units. So here in the middle of the screen we have 7 of them, and those feed into the IAU, okay, the integrated avionics unit. So that makes the 8th LRU. So that takes all the information from the previous 7 LRUs, composes it, and sends it off to the MFD up there on top. Okay, so how do we actually interface with the MFD? Well, we have a series of buttons, knobs, and soft keys. Okay, so starting from the top left where that number 1 is, we have the nav volume for identification as well as the ID knob. Okay, so we're going to turn that up when we're trying to identify the Morse code, and then we can push it in to toggle the Morse code identifier on and off. Number 2, the next one right next to it, is the nav frequency transfer key. Okay, this toggles the active and the standby nav frequencies. Third one, we have the nav knob that's used to dial in our navigation frequency. Number 4, we have the heading knob. So we turn this to set the heading bug, or we can simply press it in to sync it up with our current heading. Number 5, we have the joystick. Okay, we can use this to change the scaling or the range on our moving map display. We can also use it to pan or move around a little mouse on the page as well, kind of like a computer. Number 6, the CRS barrow knob. So the large knob, it's a 2-part knob. There's a large knob, and that's used for adjusting the altimeter setting, and then the small knob is used to adjust our course if we're in VOR or OBS mode. Number 7, our COM knob. We turn this to tune the standby COM frequency. Number 8, COM frequency transfer key. Just like with the nav transfer key, press that button and it'll transfer your standby into your active COM frequency. Number 9, COM volume /SQ knob, so squelch. So we turn this to control our COM audio, and then we press it in to turn automatic squelch on or off. For the next set of buttons here, we'll zoom in on the area outlined in red. Okay, so we have the direct to key. That's number 10, pilot's best friend. You can go direct to a destination using that key. Number 11, the FPL, or the flight plan key. It'll take you to your flight plan information page. Whoops, I gotta go back. Number 12, our clear key. That's essentially our delete key. 13 is the menu key. This is a way to get into a sub-chapter, depending on what page of the MFD we're looking at. Number 14, the PROC, or the procedure key. This is where you can load an instrument procedure. Number 15, the enter key, essentially affirms whatever or confirms whatever your selected item is. And number 16, we have our FMS knob, and that consists of a large knob and a small knob. And this is our primary means of navigating through the chapters and pages found in the MFD. Okay, we press it to activate the cursor, and then we twist it left or right to get to the specific field we're looking for. Then we use the small knob to enter the appropriate numbers or letters into the selected field. Okay, and we'll go back. Number 17 down there on the bottom, we have our soft key selection keys. On the bottom of the display, there will be different pages we can select by using these soft keys. And finally, number 18, our altitude knob. We set the altitude bug with this knob. Okay, and we do have an autopilot. Whoops, way too far. We do have an autopilot in the Seminole, so we have some keys for that as well located near the MFD. Alright, so the AP, that's the autopilot key. FD, flight director. Number 3, navigation mode. Number 4, altitude mode. Number 5, vertical speed. Number 6, flight level change. Number 7, heading mode. Number 8, approach mode. Number 9, vertical navigation mode. And number 10 and 11, those control the pitch reference for our pitch hold, our vertical speed, and flight level change modes. Alrighty, now that we have an idea of how we interact with the MFD, how those buttons work and what those knobs do, let's go through some of the key pages or functions of the MFD. And again, this is just a very, very brief overview of just a fraction of these pages. Okay, the MFD is capable of so much, and I'm only going to be able to go into I think four of these pages, and not in great depth either. So I highly recommend you download the Garmin G1000 user manual and start going through that thing. Anytime you have a question with the MFD, refer back to that manual, start putting bookmarks in it so you can get it down. Alrighty, so the first page that we're going to see once we power on the unit is our system power up page. Okay, so when the MFD powers up, it displays this screen, and here we can check the software version. We can check the base map. Alright, we can check the Safe Taxi database expiration date. We can check the expiration date on the airport directory, the expiration date on flight charts, obstacles, and once we check all these databases, make sure that they're all within spec and up to date, then we're prompted to continue on down there on the bottom. We could either press the enter key or the furthermost right soft key. Alright, the engine page. This is probably the next one we'll want to look at. Again, think of this as like a flight scenario. So we start up, we turn on the battery, we get that page. Now we're going to start the engine, and we want to be looking at this page while we're starting the engine, right? Alrighty, so starting on this page, we have some things to take a look at. Again, right up at the top left, we have our manifold pressure. Right under that, our tachometer. Under that, our EGT. Under that, our fuel flow indicator. Under that, we have our oil pressure. And under that, our oil temperature. And again, with that fuel flow, with all of these, you could see left and right, because obviously the Seminole is a twin-engine airplane. Moving down, we have our landing gear indication. And then let's go back up to the top. We have our cylinder head temperatures for our left and our right engines. Right next to that, the bigger box, we have our EGT. And one thing to note with the EGT bar graph display is that if the gas temperatures are in the normal range, the bar will display solid white, and then there will be a temperature above that. And if the temperature exceeds the normal range, the temperature above it in green will go away, and it will be replaced by a dashed white line. So that's something to look out for. Underneath there, we have our fuel quantity gauges. Right next to there, we have our tach time over our fuel calculations. So just some quick fuel numbers there. Next to that, we have our electrical information, and then under there we have our flap indication. All right, next one. So after we get the engine all started up and it's looking good, we're going to go ahead and type in our flight plan, right? So to get to this page, we'll first press the FPL button. If you remember that, right back there, number 11. We'll press that button and it'll take us right to here, okay? From this page, we're given soft keys, which allow us to create a new flight plan, make changes to our current flight plan. We can actually upload a saved flight plan from the database or from an SD card. Now, I'm not going to go into all of the buttons and knobs you have to turn in order to create a flight plan. I'll let the user manual do that for me because it would take far too long to explain in this video, and quite frankly, I don't know if anybody is going to memorize how to enter a flight plan into the G1000. So go ahead and look that up, and it's a good idea, again, to have that reference material out while you're entering your first flight plan in the plane. All right, next one, weather page. So we take off and we want to check out some weather, right? We want to see how the weather is looking at our destination and en route. All right, so to do that, we'll turn the large FMS knob to the weather page, and then we'll use the small knob to select whichever weather page we want to look at. So let's go over to the weather data link page in a little more detail. So here we can use the soft keys on the bottom. So if you see those down there, this is just a blown up view of how the soft keys schematic is laid out. All right. So we can look at NEXRAD radar, we could look at echo tops, we could look at cloud tops, lightning, cell movement, SIGMETs, AirMETs, METARs. There's a legend there, and then we can click the more weather, and that'll give us freezing level, it'll give us turbulence, it'll give us PIREPs, and then a county forecast as well. So really, really great stuff there on the weather page. And there we go, perfect. So we looked at the weather and everything's looking good. Now we want to start briefing for the airport that we're going to fly into. Okay, so we'll use the large FMS knob, scroll to the waypoint page group. Then we'll use the small knob to get to the airport information page. And from here, we can look at specific airport's instrument procedures. We can look at the, did I have this? Yep, right down there, right, using those soft keys. We could use look at their instrument procedures, weather at the airport, and the info-2 soft key will give us information on control tower hours, pattern altitude, runway information, lights, FBO info as well. As you can see on the right side of the MFD, it's giving you all that information right there because we have the info-2 soft key depressed. All right, so in conclusion, there are 8 LRUs that feed into the MFD. The MFD uses that data and spits out general flight information, okay? So you get your instruments on the PFD and your flight information on the MFD. We access that information by using the buttons, keys, knobs on the edges of the display, and the information in the MFD is arranged like a book. We have parts, chapters, and pages, and again, you're using that FMS knob, the large and the small, to navigate through those parts, chapters, and pages. And again, I can't stress enough, this is just a high-level overview of a very, very complex, very, very expansive system. So definitely download that that G1000 user manual and start putting your bookmarks in there. Alrighty, thanks for watching. Let's see.